Imagine you had more than enough money. Now, I'm not like talking about just a little bit. I'm saying more than enough money where you feel truly comfortable, where you don't check the bills in the restaurants or on grocery shops anymore. Like, take that in this second and actually think about what that would actually feel like. Trust me when I say that anyone, and I mean anyone, can get that type of money. Now, the problem is the Money and Pension Service did a study and it showed that over 45% of people in the UK don't feel confident managing their money. So how do we go from, I don't even know what to do with my money anymore, to having more than enough of it? Now, most of us have seen Martin Lewis banging on about something to do with money sometime, and perhaps have thought about doing a budget, but I just haven't got round to it. I was going to open one of those lifetime ISA things and start saving for a house. And look, I respect people who feel like they've got better things to do. Massive shout out to those of you who don't have to think like this. But a lot of us do. And we're not taught these things in school. So we tend to avoid the awkward conversations about money that we really need to be having. But look, you wouldn't be here otherwise. And so I'm going to walk you through step by step how you can get your finances in tip-top shape, get you debt-free, get you saving, investing, and even increasing your income too. All in one video. So here goes. But first up, who is this guy? Well, my name's Sammy. I built a financial education platform called Up the Gains, and since 2021, we've reached over 2 million people across all of our channels. I've recently launched this YouTube channel to make longer, more informative videos like this one, and I really want to help even more people, and the goal is to get this up to 100k subscribers this year. I would really appreciate if you could help us do that by subscribing to the channel. But right, let's get into the first step. Awareness. Okay, are you an impulsive spender? Do you spend money when you're sad, lonely, hungover? Do you feel peer pressure to spend and keep up with the others? Keeping up with the Joneses? Don't worry, it's totally normal. But understanding your money from the ground up is honestly the most important step you'll take today. Simply being aware of your habits and your triggers is literally 90% of the money management. The rest is simply a plan, and you follow that step by step, but if your mindset isn't right, you're going to be falling back down. So being aware of yourself is important, but we also need a why as well. We need to know why we're doing this for. Now, retiring early and sipping cocktails on the beach is the easy route most people say when they don't actually truly know. So spend some time on your why, and this will be totally unique to you. And it's normally a feeling rather than a monetary or a physical goal, which comes after you get your why right. Now get this absolutely nailed down. When the going gets tough, which it will, because we're humans living in this crazy bloody world, and your why is what's going to bring you back to center and keep you moving forwards. Then create some goals around it. Now I have a 1 year, a 5 year, and an ultimate goal, and I work backwards on that. So what can I do today? What can I do this week, this month to keep me moving towards it? Because I like quick wins. That way I'm constantly rewarding myself, which creates a positive loop around my money and not a negative one. You'd be amazed at how animalistic this actually is. Stroke the bear kind of stuff, but it really does work. Next up is budgeting. Now imagine we're a house. We've got our awareness, which is our piece of land, and now we're going to lay some solid foundations so we can build our dream home on it. This is what the budget does. If we build our budget out of paper, it will crack once we start putting things on top of it. We want a concrete budget. Simple budgets are the best. I like my ultimate financial planner that I built to help manage my personal and household finances. It's literally the best thing in the world for budgeting and managing money. I'm going to leave you a link in the description below if you want to check that out, but no strings attached. But look, if you don't like spreadsheets, that's fine. You've also got technology on your side too. These days you've got apps like Snoop and Plum, and these will help you budget and even plan your spending based on what it thinks you can afford. Essentially, we have to know what's coming in and what's going out each month. I spend 30 minutes a month with my partner, and we sit down, we have a glass, we chat through everything together. I spend 15 to 20 minutes on my personal finances and 15-20 minutes on my business finances. Really, that's all you need. Honestly, just doing this will show you so many areas of your life that you're overspending in. It will create opportunities for you to save and invest that you didn't know were there, and you'll catch those little subscriptions that you forgot to cancel. Trust me, it's 100% worth it, and it really is most of the battle over right there. So next up is debt. Before we move through the wealth building process, before we start building our wealth, we have to get rid of any consumer debt that's lingering about. Forget about your mortgage and your student loan. That's what I and some others will no doubt argue against, this called good debt. What we going to be talking about here is credit cards, personal loans, overdraft, the ones that are really actually holding us back. We need to make a plan to get to net zero as fast as possible. Now, I use a technique called the debt snowball technique. This is where you list your debts from smallest to largest, and then you target the list from small to big with everything that you've got. You knock them off like dominoes as you go down. If you've done your budget correctly, you should have some money aside for paying down your debts. Now, do this before you even think about saving a penny. It's paramount number one important that you clear that debt before we get into increasing wealth. Next up, now we're hopefully at net zero, we need to secure ourselves so we don't get back into debt. And we do this through an emergency fund. Now, emergency funds aren't there for when you've overspent last month and you need to dip back in telling yourself, oh, I'll put it back in next month. We've all done it. Emergency funds in your mind should be invisible money that magically seems to appear when it all kicks off. For example, lightning strikes my house and my roof needs repairing. Emergency fund. My boiler blows up and it's midwinter and I've got absolutely no central heating and I need the plumber to come out ASAP because I've got a little one that's freezing the bus off. Emergency fund. Gurus will say 6 months to pay. Now, you could look at that and go, well, that's going to take me well over 2 years to save up. And so what I tend to do is say, get a month together, or for some, just aim for £1,000. Then because we're saving already, let's say I'm saving £200 a month, I might put £50 a month towards my emergency fund from that month on, and that will help me build it back up and keep going up until we've got that sort of 3 to 6 month level. When I work with people, honestly, the biggest moment that they ever have is when they get their emergency fund together. It's like a massive weight is taken off you just by having that base level of security available. It gives you options, it gives you choices, and that's what we need to do with our money. So 100% do this and 100% secure yourself. Okay, so next up I want to talk about goals, and we've got our emergency fund, so now we want to take things to the next level. I want to talk briefly about how I use goals to understand how I'm going to save and what I'm going to invest, because from here, that's really your only 2 avenues for growing wealth. So very simply, you're quite likely to have a number of financially motivated goals that came off the back of that building our why conversation earlier in the video. Skip back to that if you need to again, because it is very important. Let's say one of our goals is to save for a house deposit. Nice and easy. And the other one is to retire with 500 grand in the bank. The house deposit is likely to happen within what I call the 5-year rule. So anything that's 5 years or less is saved into a savings account or a cash ISA, which we'll go through next. And anything that's not required in the next 5 years or more is invested. So you're looking for added growth from that money. It's a really simple framework that you can use to manage your money. So again, we were saving before that £200. We built an emergency fund right now, so I'm going to get that £50 back that I mentioned before. So we've got £200 here. I might save £100 towards my 5-year goals and £100 towards my lifetime, my ultimate goal is my investments. However, my main goal is the house. So I actually might change that around. I might go 175 saving and 25 investments. Whatever amounts you choose will be totally unique to you, but essentially using that 5-year goal, 5 years or less is saved, 5 years or more is invested, is really, really simple. Next up is ISAs, and they're very simply known as individual savings accounts. They have 2 functions, and that's to save money or to invest it. There are 4 main types of ISAs that you should be aware of. So a cash ISA, essentially a basic savings account. Stocks and shares ISA allows you to invest into the global stock market. A junior ISA, which is where you can save or invest for your kids. And a lifetime ISA. This is used where you get government support for first-time buyers or towards your retirement, and you get up to £1,000 for every £4,000 that you put in each tax year. Now, your overall ISA allowance each tax year is £20,000, and you get a further £9,000 contribution into junior ISAs. The government also recently just announced a new British ISA where you can solely invest into British businesses, and this gives you another £5 grand on top of that £20,000 personal allowance. So now you've got £25,000 in total. The interest, profits, and dividends that you might receive from any account type within there are not subject to capital gains tax, which means to me that you need to be maximizing your savings and investments inside ISAs. Because why pay tax? For me, it makes absolutely no sense to invest or save outside of it, because eventually you want to grow enough where you might actually have been taxed on it. In an ISA, you're not going to get that. So you can withdraw from a cash ISA and a stocks and shares ISA whenever you like, meaning that the money available to you as you grow your wealth, you can get it whenever you want. In a lifetime ISA, things work a little bit differently because you're using it towards your first home or to retirement. Though you can get the money out, you do lose the government bonus of 25%, and sometimes you get a small fee, so do bear that in mind. Also, the junior ISA is locked up until your child reaches the age of 18 because it is their money and not yours, and then it can be accessed by them too. I actually just did a pretty good breakdown on junior ISAs. I'll leave that in the description below, a link to that video, so just bear that in mind. Okay, and I'm also going to leave a little guide for ISAs for beginners if you want to find out more in the description below too. Next up is pensions. Pensions, they are your golden ticket to a comfortable retirement. Think of these as your future self safety net. In the UK, we've got a few options when it comes to pensions, and getting clued up on them is pretty useful. Firstly, you've got your state pension provided by the good old UK government, whatever. It is based on your national insurance contributions throughout your working life, so don't get too excited. While it's reliable, and yes, it's there, it's more of a base layer than the whole cake. To really live it up in your golden golden years, you're not going to be relying on a state pension. It's really not a good idea to think like that. It helps, yes, but you're going to need more to live the life that you want to live, unless you want to live basically completely below the breadline. So enter workplace pensions. This is where your employer will help you save for retirement. You chip in a bit, your employer chips in a bit, they add a bit on top, the government whacks in tax relief as well. It's kind of a trifecta of retirement saving awesomeness, so absolutely utilize it if you've got one. It's like a savings pot that grows in the background with contributions from not just your employer but the government too. Now the beauty of it, you're essentially getting free money put towards your retirement from your employer. Not opting in is like saying no to a bit of free cake. Who does that? Okay, so then there's personal pensions too. That's slightly different to your employer's pensions, and this is a pot that you set up yourself, a pension pot that you set up yourself. It's perfect for those who are self-employed or for those looking to supplement their workplace pension, add more in. With a personal pension, you've got much more freedom in choosing where you contribute to, making it a bit more flexible, and it's a bit more in your power. You do get the tax relief added on top of your contributions, also added. It's a pretty smart way to save for your sunset years. For me, I combine my savings and investment contributions from the budget that we did earlier. Now, a portion of my money goes into my pension and another portion will go into my ISAs. How you weight it is up to you based on your own preferences. You have to think about access, tax, all of these types of things. It is a little bit of digging, but get yourself into it. There's some fantastic free guides online as well on this. Now, next up, I want to talk about investing in yourself. This is probably for me the most important bit, because this is where you can go from working in a job and putting a little bit away into your savings and investments to really getting towards your goals a lot quicker and maybe hitting them a lot faster than you actually thought was possible. So leveling up yourself, leveling up your skill set, which in turn pays you more. It makes you have a better life. It makes things easier. It makes things more enjoyable all around. Now, take this example. John is paid £15 an hour and he does an evening course which costs him £1,000. But then he completes it and he's paid £22 an hour at work. That's a 47% increase. You're pretty unlikely to find that anywhere in investing for at least a couple years or more, but you've done that in one foul swoop. So investing in yourself always pays the best dividends. Now, I want you to continue this with me because we haven't spoken about investing. We want to get to that. So you want to know how to invest your first £1,000. And that's the next logical step here on this wealth building trajectory that we're on together. So click on the next video that's just coming up now on your screen and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, people.